Imagine waking up one day and realizing you have suddenly become the most popular man in a room that would not even let you in 10 or 15 years ago. It feels surreal, almost like stepping into an alternate reality. You look in the mirror and see a few more gray hairs, a slightly softer jawline, maybe a metabolism that no longer forgives late-night pizza. Yet your phone is lighting up with messages from women who once overlooked you as if you were invisible. This is not a fantasy. This is a pattern many men in their late 30s and 40s are quietly experiencing. Welcome to a reality most people avoid discussing openly. Here we focus on uncomfortable truths, real-world psychology, and the mechanics of attraction that operate beneath the surface of modern dating. There is a noticeable shift happening. Ordinary men in their 40s, not celebrities, not private jet owners, not fitness influencers, but stable and disciplined men are receiving unexpected attention from women who previously dismissed them. These are often the same women who, in their 20s, operated with rigid standards shaped by social media, dating apps, and unlimited access to validation. If you were not tall enough, flashy enough, wealthy enough, or socially elite enough, you were filtered out instantly. The standards were precise and unforgiving. Now, something has changed. The same women who once filtered aggressively are suddenly more flexible. They initiate conversations, express curiosity. They show warmth that was previously absent. Before celebrating, it is important to pause and ask a critical question. Did you truly become dramatically more attractive, or did the environment around you change? Objectively speaking, most men are not physically superior at 40 compared to 25. The difference is not raw attractiveness. The difference is market dynamics. Dating operates much like supply and demand. In youth, women typically possess an abundance of attention. Social media amplifies this. Dating platforms amplify this. A woman in her mid-20s can receive hundreds of messages weekly. This creates leverage. When attention is abundant, selectivity increases. When selectivity increases, standards rise. However, time alters leverage. As years pass, the supply of elite suitors willing to commit decreases. High-status men in their 30s and 40s often continue pursuing younger women. Meanwhile, many stable men who were overlooked earlier are no longer available. They married, relocated, or built lives without waiting for late recognition. Consider a young woman in her mid-20s who gains access to highly accomplished older men. Access creates perception. She may interpret temporary experiences as long-term entitlement. She can occasionally date a surgeon, executive, or entrepreneur. She assumes that tier represents her baseline value. She overlooks the steady man building himself beside her because he does not generate the same immediate excitement. Data from modern dating platforms repeatedly shows that a large percentage of women concentrate their interest on a small percentage of men. When filters for height, income, education, and lifestyle are applied, the majority of men are excluded instantly. This creates competition over a narrow slice of the male population. The men in that top tier often have little incentive to commit early because options are abundant. Fast forward several years. The woman is now in her early 30s. She may have improved her career and financial standing. Outwardly, she appears more established, yet the dating landscape has shifted. The high-status men she once accessed are still present, but their attention is often directed toward younger women who now occupy the space she once held. The matches she receives begin to change. Quantity may decline. The tone may shift. The men pursuing her may be stable but less glamorous than her previous preferences. However, internal standards frequently remain anchored to earlier experiences. This is where cognitive dissonance begins. Rather than acknowledging a shift in leverage, it is psychologically easier to blame external factors. Narratives such as men being intimidated or unwilling to commit become protective shields. Against confronting declining market leverage, now consider the perspective of the man who was overlooked in his 20s. He focused on skill development, career progression, emotional maturity, and financial stability. A decade later, he possesses tangible assets that did not exist earlier. When women from his past reappear, expressing interest in his reliability and kindness, it can feel validating. Yet, it is important to distinguish genuine attraction from pragmatic selection. Being chosen because alternatives have narrowed is different from being chosen out of authentic desire. This difference determines the long-term emotional health of the relationship. Biology also plays a role that modern culture often avoids discussing. Female fertility declines with age. In the mid-20s, the probability of conception per cycle is significantly higher than in the early 40s. By 40, the probability per cycle drops substantially, and by 45, it becomes minimal. These are medical statistics rather than social opinions. As fertility windows narrow, urgency can increase. Urgency sometimes masquerades as intense interest. Rapid conversations about marriage, cohabitation, or children may reflect timeline pressure rather than organic connection. Men must learn to recognize this distinction without bitterness or cruelty. Another dynamic to consider is emotional baggage. Individuals entering relationships later in life may carry unresolved disappointments, financial entanglements, or co-parenting complexities. These realities do not make someone unworthy of love, but they do alter the equation. Entering a partnership where one person feels they compromised can lead to subtle resentment. If someone internally believes they settled, comparisons to past partners may surface during moments of stress. This creates tension that erodes respect over time. There is also an asymmetry in aging that affects leverage. Men who invest in competence, health, and financial growth often experience increasing stability in their 40s. Their attractiveness shifts from purely physical to resource-based and psychological. Confidence rooted in accomplishment can be compelling. Meanwhile, women who relied heavily on youth-based validation may experience sharper shifts in attention patterns. This does not diminish their humanity or worth, but it does change bargaining power within the dating marketplace. For men navigating this phase, strategy matters. Sudden attention should not automatically inflate ego or lower discernment. Ask direct questions internally. Is she drawn to me as a person or to the security I provide? Is there admiration and respect or merely urgency? Does she speak about building together or about racing against time? Healthy relationships are built on mutual desire, respect, and aligned timelines. They are not built on panic or leftover opportunity. It is also important to avoid sliding into resentment or superiority. The goal is not revenge for past rejection. The goal is clarity. Self-development should never be about becoming someone's fallback option. It should be about becoming a man who chooses wisely. Standards apply in both directions. Just as women filtered aggressively in youth, men must filter thoughtfully in maturity. Attention alone is not validation. Commitment offered under pressure is not the same as commitment offered freely. Ultimately, the shift many men notice in their 40s is less about becoming suddenly irresistible and more about market correction. Supply and demand evolve. Time redistributes leverage. The wise response is not arrogance, but awareness. Build your life with intention. Maintain physical health. Strengthen emotional intelligence. Cultivate financial stability. Then evaluate. Partners based on genuine compatibility rather than delayed validation. You deserve to be chosen with enthusiasm, not tolerated as a practical solution. You deserve respect that is consistent, not conditional. In this stage of life, you are not the overlooked background character. You are a decision maker with options. Move forward with clarity, not ego. Choose partnerships rooted in authentic desire and shared values. When you understand the dynamics at play, you no longer operate from confusion. You operate from informed strength.